Little girl found a German shepherd protecting something in the bushes. What it was shocked everyone. The sound was barely there, a soft cry, hidden beneath concrete and chaos. What followed was a journey so unbelievable, even those who witnessed it struggled to explain it. This is the kind of story that hurts your heart and then heals it. If you've ever doubted kindness, stay with us. This one's for you. The sun was just beginning to dip below the horizon, casting long, soft shadows over the quiet neighborhood that bordered the dense forest. The air was still, filled only with the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of birds settling in for the night. This was the edge of the woods, a place where nature whispered secrets to those who would listen, and where shadows seemed to dance just beyond the line of sight. On the fringe of this serene setting, little Mia wandered barefoot along the soft grass, her curious eyes wide with wonder. At just 5 years old, Mia was the kind of child who saw magic in the smallest things. A shimmering spider's web, the flutter of a butterfly's wings, or the delicate scent of wildflowers carried by the breeze. She carried an old, worn stuffed rabbit in one hand, her constant companion through all her adventures. Her other hand occasionally brushed the leaves of the bushes that stood like silent sentinels along the forest's edge. Mia was known for her bravery and her endless curiosity, traits that often led her to explore places many others wouldn't dare. Her parents, though cautious, encouraged her to be bold and kind-hearted and to follow her instincts. Tonight, something inside Mia tugged at her, a gentle yet persistent feeling that she couldn't quite explain. She had been playing nearby when she suddenly heard it, a faint, unfamiliar sound coming from the thick tangle of bushes just a few feet away. It started as a soft, barely audible whimper, almost like a secret cry for help hidden beneath the evening calm. Mia's heart quickened, a mixture of excitement and concern swirling inside her. She stood still, listening intently. The whimpering grew slightly louder, filled with a fragile urgency that seemed to call directly to her small soul. For a moment, she hesitated. The shadows deepened, and the bushes looked more like a gateway to the unknown than a place of safety. Yet, without a second thought, Mia's natural curiosity and compassion took over. She stepped forward carefully, her little feet making soft impressions in the damp earth, her eyes scanning the dark green leaves for the source of the sound. The deeper she ventured toward the bushes, the more her senses sharpened. The cool evening air carried a mix of scents, earth, moss, and something else, something raw and alive. A faint rustling whispered through the branches as if the forest itself was holding its breath, watching this brave little girl approach. There was no one else nearby, no adults, no friends, just Mia and the quiet wilderness. The whimpering grew clearer now, trembling with desperation. It wasn't the sound of a child, nor of any familiar animal she had ever heard before. Her small hands clutched her stuffed rabbit tighter, seeking comfort and strength. Mia's eyes glistened with a mixture of fear and determination. She knew this moment was important. Something was wrong, and she had to help. As she moved closer, the bushes began to part slightly, revealing a small clearing bathed in the fading golden light. And then, there it was, a large, imposing figure nestled protectively within the thicket. A German shepherd, its sleek coat streaked with dust and leaves, stood alert and watchful. But what truly caught Mia's breath was what lay hidden beneath the dog's guarded stance. A bundle of soft, shivering movement, something fragile and precious. The dog's eyes locked onto Mia's with a mixture of wariness and hope. It was clear this was no ordinary encounter. The German shepherd's presence was commanding yet gentle, a guardian standing firm against an unseen threat. Mia's heart pounded as she realized the depth of what she had stumbled upon. The world seemed to hold still in that moment. Nature, the dog, and the little girl connected by an unspoken bond. Mia's innocence, courage, and compassion had brought her here, to the edge of something mysterious and urgent. The weight of this discovery settled around her like a quiet storm, promising that nothing would ever be the same again. She took a tentative step forward, drawn by the protective instinct radiating from the dog. Whatever lay beneath the sheltering paws of this loyal guardian, Mia knew it needed help, and she was the only one who could give it. The forest around her seemed to lean in closer, the shadows deepening, the evening silence thick with suspense. With a soft breath, Mia reached out, her small hand trembling slightly but unwavering in purpose. The German Shepherd didn't move, didn't growl or snap. Instead, it lowered its head just enough for her to see the tiny bundle nestled at its side, a secret kept safe in the dark. And in that instant, the journey began. The sun was beginning to dip behind the tall trees lining the edge of the quiet neighborhood, casting long shadows over the small patch of wild bushes where the German Shepherd stood like a silent sentinel. The dog's coat was a deep blend of black and tan, matted slightly from days spent outdoors, yet there was a noble strength in her posture. Her muscles tensed beneath her fur as she held her position, eyes sharp and alert, scanning the surroundings with an intensity that spoke of vigilance far beyond instinct. This was no ordinary dog lost in the wilderness. There was a purpose to her presence here, a reason why she refused to move even when the little girl cautiously approached. Her eyes, a dark pool of cautious intelligence, flickered between the shadows and the child, calculating whether this new presence was a threat or a friend. Her ears twitched at every small noise, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, and she let out a low, rumbling growl, a sound filled with both warning and desperation. The bushes she stood beside were thick and tangled, hiding something within their depths. At first, the girl could only guess what it was. Her eyes darted from the dog to the dense greenery and back again. There was a sense of mystery in the air, a silent secret being fiercely guarded by this lone protector. The way the German Shepherd positioned herself, body blocking the path deeper into the bushes, left no doubt. Whatever was inside was important, fragile even, and the dog would do anything to keep it safe. The girl's heart pounded in her chest as she took another cautious step forward. A confusing swirl of emotions churned inside her, fear of the unknown, the instinct to retreat, but stronger still, an overwhelming surge of compassion. She saw not just a fierce guardian but a creature in distress. Despite the dog's guarded stance, she noticed subtle signs, the slight shivering in her legs, the way her tail twitched anxiously, that betrayed exhaustion and pain. The dog wasn't just protecting something, she was desperate for help. Reaching out with a trembling hand, the girl whispered softly, hoping her voice could bridge the gap between them. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." The dog's eyes never left her, but the growling lessened to a cautious whimper. Encouraged, the girl edged closer, careful not to make any sudden movements that might trigger a defensive reaction. But the surroundings posed their own challenges. The bushes grew thick with thorns, scraping her arms as she moved, and the uneven ground beneath her feet threatened to trip her at every step. The fading light made it harder to see the hidden dangers lurking beneath the foliage, and the rustling of small animals in the undergrowth reminded her she wasn't alone in this secret place. The girl's mind raced with questions. What was the dog protecting so fiercely? Why had no one else noticed this strange scene unfolding at the edge of their peaceful neighborhood? And more urgently, what would happen if the dog or the hidden secret was left unguarded, vulnerable to the harshness of the world outside? As she paused, caught between curiosity and caution, the dog suddenly shifted her weight, stepping slightly aside to reveal the first glimpse of what lay beneath the tangled branches. The girl's breath caught in her throat. There, nestled carefully and almost hidden by the thick brush, was something small and fragile. What it was remained unclear, but the weight of the moment pressed heavily on her young shoulders. The protective gaze of the German Shepherd never wavered, a silent promise that this secret, whatever it was, would not be abandoned, not while she was still here to guard it. The girl knew then that her discovery was just the beginning. This was no simple encounter. It was a call to action, a moment that would change everything she thought she knew about courage, loyalty, and the quiet power of a protector's love. With a deep breath, she steadied herself, ready to face whatever came next. The mystery wasn't just about what was hidden in the bushes. It was about the bond forming right now between a brave little girl and a determined German Shepherd who refused to let go. The tangled branches of the bushes seemed to part like a curtain as the little girl's eyes finally settled on what the German Shepherd had been guarding with such fierce determination. Nestled safely beneath a protective canopy of leaves lay a small cluster of tiny, fragile puppies, their fur damp and matted, barely able to lift their eyes. The sight stopped her breath midair. These were newborns, barely more than days old, trembling softly with the vulnerability only newborn creatures know. Her heart tightened instantly with shock and overwhelming empathy. The puppies were huddled together for warmth, their little bodies rising and falling weakly with every shallow breath. Some whimpered softly, others nestled closer to their mother for comfort, who lay nearby, visibly exhausted but alert. The German Shepherd's protective stance suddenly made perfect sense. She wasn't just guarding a secret but her own precious family, fragile and dependent. The girl's eyes filled with tears as she knelt carefully beside the hidden nest. The gentle whimpering of the puppies tugged at something deep inside her, a blend of compassion and urgency she had never known before. It was a moment of pure innocence meeting raw reality. These tiny lives were at risk, abandoned in the wilderness, hidden away but not forgotten. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on her small shoulders. Instinctively, her protective nature ignited. She knew that this was no time to hesitate or be afraid. She had to act. The puppies, so helpless and vulnerable, needed warmth, food, and safety, and the dog beside her, worn and wary, needed the reassurance that she was not alone in this fight. The girl's hands trembled as she reached out, but the German Shepherd didn't flinch. Instead, she stepped a little closer, as if sensing the shared determination. Time seemed to slow as the girl scanned the area for anything that could help: discarded pieces of cloth, sticks for shelter, anything to make a safer haven for the little family. Her mind raced with plans. How to protect these lives, how to keep the secret hidden from prying eyes that might bring danger rather than help. She thought of her family, neighbors, anyone who could lend a hand, but she knew the importance of discretion. This was their secret, their mission. As the girl gently cradled one of the smaller puppies, feeling its tiny heartbeat against her palm, a bond began to form, not just between her and the German Shepherd, but with the vulnerable lives they now shared a duty to protect. The dog's eyes softened, a quiet trust passing between them. It was as if they had become partners in this fragile, urgent world. A little girl and a fierce protector united by a common purpose. Yet beneath the calm, an undercurrent of unease lingered. The girl's senses, sharpened by the moment's intensity, picked up distant sounds. The faint rumble of engines far away, the occasional voices carried on the wind. Threats from outside forces loomed like shadows at the edge of the forest. The girl's heart pounded with the awareness that this sanctuary was temporary, fragile, and that their greatest challenges might still lie ahead. She glanced once more at the German Shepherd, whose gaze remained fixed on the unseen horizon beyond the bushes. The dog seemed to understand the unspoken fear, a promise to stand guard, to protect against whatever might come. And the girl, though small and still innocent, felt something fierce awaken within her. This was no longer just a chance discovery. It was the beginning of a battle for survival, hope, and the power of unlikely alliances. With a renewed sense of purpose, she whispered softly to the dog, "We'll keep them safe. Together, the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in hues of gold and purple, casting long shadows over the secret refuge hidden at the edge of the world. But inside the girl's heart, a fire burned brighter than ever, the courage to face whatever came next, and the unbreakable bond that had already begun to grow. After the girl had spent precious moments by the hidden puppies and their fierce guardian, she knew she couldn't protect them alone. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her young heart, and a quiet urgency took hold. Gently, she cupped the smallest puppy in her hands and stood up, her eyes meeting the German shepherd's solemn gaze, a silent promise to return soon with help. Her feet moved quickly but cautiously through the dense underbrush, each step echoing with the knowledge that time was not on their side. The sun was slipping behind the trees, shadows growing long and thick around her. The cool breeze carried whispers of distant thunder, warning of a coming storm. Nature itself seemed to be conspiring against her mission, testing her resolve in every way. When she finally emerged onto the familiar dirt path leading toward her home, relief flickered in her chest. She called out softly, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and fear. "Mom, Dad, someone's hurt the puppies." But the wind snatched her words away, scattering them into the fading light. She pushed on, faster now, tears stinging her eyes as she thought of the helpless lives waiting in the bushes. Back at home, her cries finally stirred her family. Her mother appeared at the door, concern etched deep into her face, followed by her older brother and a couple of neighbors. The girl's voice wavered as she explained what she had found, pointing toward the forest's edge where shadows now cloaked the secret sanctuary. The adults exchanged worried glances but immediately sprang into action, gathering blankets, food, and first aid supplies. The German shepherd, sensing reinforcements, paced anxiously near the bushes as the group approached. But the moment was far from simple. The terrain was rough and tangled, the thick branches and uneven ground making it difficult to carry the puppies safely. The girl tried to help, her small hands struggling to hold the fragile creatures steady as they navigated the obstacles. Every step forward felt heavy, the urgency growing with the darkening sky. Just as they began to lift the puppies into makeshift carriers, dark clouds rumbled overhead, and the first drops of rain began to fall. The weather turned against them, rain soaking through their clothes and turning the earth beneath their feet into slippery mud. It was a battle against both nature and time. The girl's heart pounded with fear, not just for the puppies, but for the dog who had guarded them so fiercely. Throughout the ordeal, the bond between the girl and the German shepherd deepened. The dog never left her side, nudging her gently with a wet nose when she faltered, her eyes reflecting a shared determination. In quiet moments amid the chaos, the girl whispered soft reassurances to the dog, promising they would keep each other safe no matter what. It was a fragile lifeline, a connection born from courage and compassion. But the challenges didn't stop there. As they moved closer to home, a sudden stumble sent one of the puppies tumbling from the girl's arms. Panic surged through her as she scrambled to catch the tiny creature before it hit the ground, her breath hitching with relief when it was safe again. Doubt crept in for the first time. Was she strong enough? Was this fight beyond her? Yet, just as despair threatened to take hold, the steady hands of her family lifted the load. Her father took over carrying the puppies, while neighbors cleared the path ahead. The girl felt the warmth of their support, a reminder that she was not alone in this struggle. Together, they pushed forward through the rain, the dog leading the way with unwavering vigilance. When they finally reached the shelter of their home, exhausted but determined, the puppies were wrapped in warm blankets, their fragile bodies protected from the storm outside. The girl cradled the smallest one against her chest, feeling the steady heartbeat beneath her fingertips, a small miracle amid the struggle. As the night deepened, the family gathered around the rescued puppies and their loyal guardian. The girl's eyes shone with a mix of relief and hope. Though the road ahead was uncertain, the first steps toward healing had begun. Together, they had faced nature's fury, physical obstacles, and the weight of uncertainty, and they had not faltered. In those quiet moments, the girl understood that this was more than a rescue. It was a testament to the power of love, bravery, and community, the unspoken bonds that could carry even the smallest among them through the darkest storms. And as the rain softened into a gentle drizzle, the girl whispered once more to the German Shepherd, "We'll keep them safe. Together, we can do anything." Word spread through the small neighborhood like wildfire. What began as a quiet act of courage by one little girl soon grew into a movement that touched every heart in the community. Whispers floated from porch to porch, stories exchanged over fences, and neighbors gathered in hushed conversations about the German Shepherd and the secret it had guarded so fiercely. Curiosity turned to concern as people started asking questions. How had these puppies ended up hidden away in the bushes? Who could have left them vulnerable and alone? The answers were not easy to find, but the community's determination was stronger than ever. Neighbors shared their observations, recalling strange sounds or glimpses of the dog pacing near the edge of the forest. Some remembered seeing suspicious figures late at night, while others spoke quietly of rumors about neglect or even cruelty that had lingered unspoken for too long. Each testimony added a piece to the puzzle, painting a troubling picture beneath the peaceful surface of their streets. For the little girl and her family, the growing awareness brought a complicated mix of emotions. Pride swelled in their hearts. They had been the first to act, the ones who saw what others had missed. But with that pride came sorrow and anger at the thought that anyone could have allowed such suffering to go unnoticed. Determined to turn pain into purpose, the community came together like never before. Meetings were held in church halls and community centers, where voices rose not in anger, but in a shared commitment to protect the vulnerable. Plans formed for neighborhood watch groups, educational campaigns on animal welfare, and support networks for those in need. The German Shepherd became a symbol, not just of fierce protection, but of hope and resilience. Its unwavering vigilance reminded everyone that sometimes strength comes in unexpected forms, and guardianship can be found in the most humble places. The dog's story inspired many, awakening a collective responsibility that had lain dormant. Families brought blankets, food, and toys for the puppies, turning their recovery into a neighborhood affair. Children visited with shy smiles and gentle hands, learning lessons of empathy from the girl who had dared to follow the whimpering sounds. Adults found ways to contribute too, whether by offering shelter, veterinary care, or simply raising their voices against neglect. Amid this blossoming unity, the girl herself grew in quiet strength. Surrounded by support, her confidence blossomed like a flower reaching toward the sun. The bond between her and the German Shepherd deepened, each day weaving a story of trust and friendship that echoed far beyond their little world. Together, the community and the girl's family worked tirelessly to secure a safer future for the puppies and their protector. Legal measures were explored to prevent such dangers from arising again, and local authorities became allies rather than distant observers. The neighborhood's vigilance turned into a shield, promising that no creature under their watch would suffer alone again. This chapter of their lives was more than a rescue. It was a powerful reminder of what could be achieved when hearts and hands joined as one. From the shadow of neglect and fear, hope emerged, a bright, unyielding flame that lit the way forward. As twilight settled over the neighborhood, the girl sat quietly beside the German Shepherd, their silhouettes framed by the soft glow of porch lights. Around them, laughter and conversation blossomed like flowers in spring, a testament to the healing power of community and kindness. In that moment, the world felt a little safer, a little warmer. The battle for those hidden lives had sparked something bigger, a movement born from innocence and courage, and carried by the strength of many. Together, they had shown that even the smallest voices could make the loudest impact. And so, under the watchful eyes of the protective German Shepherd, the community found not only hope but a new beginning, a promise that no one would face darkness alone, and that together, they could overcome even the most daunting challenges. The days that followed the rescue were filled with quiet miracles. Slowly, under the gentle hands of caring neighbors and veterinarians, the German Shepherd and the precious lives it had protected began to heal. The once frightened eyes of the puppies grew brighter with each passing day, their fragile bodies gaining strength and vitality. The dog, who had stood as a fierce guardian in the shadows, now allowed herself moments of rest and tenderness. Scars faded, wounds mended, and with every gentle pat and soft word, a deep sense of trust blossomed between her and the people who had saved her. At the heart of this healing was the little girl, the one whose courage had sparked this entire journey. She had changed to no longer just the curious child who followed the whimpering sounds. She had grown into a symbol of empathy and bravery for the whole community. Her confidence bloomed with each day spent caring for the animals. She learned to feed them with steady hands, to soothe them with quiet voices, and to play with them under the golden sunlight that spilled through the trees. The laughter that had once been a distant memory returned to her lips, bringing light to everyone around. Together, they established new routines. Mornings were filled with playful romps through the fields, where the German Shepherd taught her young charges the joy of running free and chasing butterflies. Afternoons were dedicated to training, teaching obedience and trust, building the foundation for a life full of promise and safety. Each moment shared between the girl and the dog deepened their bond, a connection forged in hardship but strengthened by love. It was as if they understood one another without words, their hearts beating in quiet harmony. This transformation was more than physical healing. It was a rebirth for all involved. The rescued animals had been given a second chance at life, and the little girl had discovered the extraordinary power of kindness, not just to save, but to change lives forever. Reflecting on their journey, the girl often thought about the day she had first heard the whimpering in the bushes. What began as a simple act of curiosity had blossomed into something far greater, a story of hope, resilience, and the unbreakable ties that bind us all. For her family and the community, the experience was a profound lesson in compassion. It reminded them that sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest strength, and that healing often begins with a single act of courage. Even now, as the sun set over their peaceful neighborhood, the girl and the German Shepherd remained inseparable. Together, they watched over the puppies, their eyes reflecting the quiet joy of new beginnings. In the soft glow of evening, the girl whispered to her loyal companion, "Thank you for trusting me. We saved each other." And in response, the dog rested her head gently against the girl's hand, a silent promise of friendship and protection that would last a lifetime. From the very first moment the little girl heard the faint whimpering from the bushes, a chain of events was set in motion, a journey that would touch hearts and change lives forever. What started as a curious child's instinct to investigate a mysterious sound grew into a powerful story of protection, resilience, and community. Together, the girl and the German Shepherd faced fears, overcame obstacles, and fought to keep what was precious safe. Their bond was forged in the shadows of uncertainty but blossomed into something radiant, a testament to the unspoken strength found in kindness and bravery. The community, once distant observers, became active participants. Neighbors rallied around the cause, sharing resources and offering support. What was initially a secret hidden beneath the bushes became a symbol of hope, a reminder that we all have a role to play in protecting those who cannot speak for themselves. This experience transformed not only the lives of the girl and the dog but also awakened a collective awareness, a call to action for all who witness injustice, neglect, or suffering in the animal world. It's a reminder that compassion is a force stronger than fear, that the courage of a single child can ignite change, and that every small act of kindness ripples outward, touching more lives than we can imagine. If this story has moved you, take a moment to look around your own community. Are there animals in need? Are there voices waiting to be heard? Your awareness can make all the difference. For those ready to take that next step, countless organizations stand ready to help. Animal shelters, rescue groups, and advocacy networks dedicated to giving forgotten creatures a second chance. Volunteering, donations, or simply spreading awareness can transform lives. Together, we can build a world where every animal is protected, where kindness is the norm, and where stories like this one are not rare miracles but everyday realities. So today, we invite you to be part of this movement. Watch with open hearts, listen with compassion, and act with courage. If you believe in the power of love and hope, please like this video, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt stories that inspire and uplift. Because every story matters, every life matters, and together we can make a difference. Thank you for joining us on this unforgettable journey. Until next time, keep kindness alive.